guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing my September TBR pile. I didn't want to post a wrap-up video because I really wasn't keeping track of the books that I read. It's really bad, but it's been really busy at my workplace right now. I didn't feel like I read as much as I wanted to, and I feel like that's why I wasn't really keeping track of it. I definitely can tell you that pretty much I only read 2 books that I can remember for the month of August, and that is book 1 and book 2 of the Gabriel's Inferno series, which is Gabriel's Inferno and then Gabriel's Rapture, both by Sylvain Renard. I am in love with this series. Gabriel Emerson is like the perfect guy. Like, I feel like Gabriel kind of tops Christian Grey for me, just because now I love Christian Grey. He is such a great character, such a great male character who learns about what it's like to be in love with someone because he's never been in love with someone. But this one is just kind of, it's just so near and dear to my heart. And the way that the second one, I'm very curious as to how the third one is going to go because of how they left it with the first one. And so I'm very excited to see where it goes from there. Let me go ahead and tell you guys what I have planned for September. Obviously, to piggyback off of those 2 books, I have the 3rd and the 4th book in the series on my reading pile, and that is Gabriel's Redemption and Gabriel's Promise, as I'm covering up the words. But this, I'm so excited to get into. These are the last 2 books in the series. I'm kind of really sad. I really want to get to these because the 3rd part of the Gabriel's Inferno movie on Passionflix is coming out in November. I hate that I have to wait, but I'm so excited to see how the 3rd part is. I love part 1 and I love part 2. They were pretty much the book from start to finish in both parts. If you're not familiar with what Gabriel's Inferno is, I do talk about it a little bit in a video or 2 back where I'm talking about the books that I plan on reading. And it is a series that is about 2 characters, Julia Mitchell and Gabriel Emerson. Julia is going to college. I believe it's her graduate degree or her master's degree. I can't remember, but she is going back to become a Dante specialist, pretty much. She wants to become a professor to teach Dante and Italian studies, and she has Gabriel Emerson as her teacher. There's something that happens in their past where they each know each other, and there's a revelation that happens that kind of brings everything to a head. It is such a great romance series. I love the characters. I love that it's not, in my opinion, it's not the typical romance series. There's a lot of different twists and turns that I don't see coming, which is really great. So I'm really excited to get to the 3rd one and the 4th one. The way that they ended on book 2 kind of made it a happy ending, so I feel there's going to be some trouble in paradise again, but this time it is gonna be a little difficult, I would say, but I'm really excited to get into this, finish the series. I'm so in love with it. I don't know why I didn't read this until now. I should have probably read it when I first finished 50 Shades of Grey. This is what I'm going to be reading after the current book I'm reading, which let me go ahead and tell you guys about that book a little bit. The book that I am currently reading right now, and I am almost finished, and I'm gonna be sad, is the Once Upon a Book Club YA box book for, I believe this one is July, and it is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I'm pretty far into it. I would say, like, I have this much left to read, so I do plan on reading today. This one, if you didn't watch my unboxing, this book deals with a girl who is in high school. She's graduating. It is the last day of her senior year, and throughout high school she has had this rival, pretty much, that they kind of compete with each other, and it's kind of like a anything you can do, I can do better kind of situation. So they're enemies, and on the last day of school there is a game that the senior class plays called Howl. It's pretty much a scavenger hunt kind of game, but it's also kind of like Assassin, where you have a target that you have to eliminate while you're doing Howl. And there's stuff that comes up where both her and this boy have to team up together because they both want to try to win Howl. And it turns into an enemies to lover YA romance. Probably the cover kind of gives it away as a hint. I absolutely adore this book. I absolutely love it so much. I have never read any of this author's work. I'm really excited to finally get into her work. how she writes it, it's just really cool. And I also love it too because the girl, the main character, her name is Rowan. She wants to become a romance novelist, a romance writer, and she loves romance novels. So she kind of always draws parallels from those novels into her real life, and you can kind of tell in the writing, how she's writing as Rowan, those parallels are coming out while she's dealing with this situation. Kind of reminded me of my senior year when I was in high school and just all the stuff that seniors were able to do. We never had anything fun like Howl, although I wish we did. That would have been so much fun to do, team up with people, get to pretty much like, you know, having a last shebang with my class. This is the third book that I have gotten from Once Upon a Book Club, and I have not been disappointed. All the books that I have gotten so far have been so great, and I'm also really excited. They just announced they are doing a Halloween box, and I really cannot wait to get that because it's also a book that I actually have on my list right now. So I really, really cannot wait to get to those books. That is the book that I am currently reading right now. So back to my TBR pile. But there's also another series that I am going to be rereading that is also a movie. If you don't know me, I am a big After fan, and the second movie, After We Collided, is coming out in October. I am so excited. I'm so ready. I don't know if I want to go to the theater yet or not to see it. I do know it's like a video on demand thing, so I might do that and watch it at home and just, you know, just kind of from the comfort of my home. But I am so excited. So I am going to be rereading After, and obviously After We Collided by Anna Todd. So I think these are going to be probably towards the end of my reading for September, because these ones, it takes me very quickly to read them just because they read so fast and I enjoy reading it. But I'm so excited to read these. If you're not familiar with After, I have talked about it on my channel. It is on other videos. But this is a story that is a One Direction fanfic. It was that on Wattpad, and it was printed into 4 different novels. Or not 4 different novels, but 4 novels of the story being split up. So it follows a girl named Tessa who is starting her first year of college, and she meets a bad boy named Hardin who is just the opposite of everything that she thinks he is. But they end up falling in love, and the whole book, the first book and the whole series is pretty much their love story. The first book leaves a twist, and that is where a lot of the next books in the series kind of pick up, as them navigating through that twist and different problems that come up in their relationship. But it is such a good story. It is one that I didn't think I was gonna like. I just kind of picked it up because I've heard a few booktubers that I love talk about this book series and how much they love it, and I gave it a chance and I fell in love because it is so much more than what I thought it is. But I'm so excited to read these again and watch the movie, so woohoo! I feel like it's gonna help me with Gabriel's Inferno Part 3 not coming out until November, so I'm kind of excited that I at least get a movie coming up soon that I can read as well. Speaking of series, I have one more series that I want to read, and I already read the first book, but I want to reread it again before I pick up the sequel because it has been a while, and I did pick up this book, the sequel, last year, and I've still not read it. I know. Very, very shameful, but I just didn't have the time to read it. And it is by one of my favorite authors of all time. She is my #1 author. If you ask me who is my favorite current author, it is going to be Janet Fitch. And she wrote a series. I don't know what the title of it is really called. I'm just going to call it the Marina M series for now. I don't know if she has an official title for it, but it consists of The Revolution of Marina M and then Chimes of a Lost Cathedral. Just look at these covers. They are so pretty. And I just love the feel of these books. They're so beautiful. Both of these books are actually my pride and joy because I actually got signed book plates. Janet Fitch is so awesome. The past 2 Christmases, last year and the year before that, she actually did signed book plates where she personalized them, as well as she does some watercolor work on them. I have gotten the book plates the past 2 Christmases, and I was so excited to have them because, like I said, she's one of my favorite authors, so now I have signed books by her, which are so great. So with this one, she signed it, and it says, "To Cassie, welcome to Marina's world. Hope you enjoy her journey. Best wishes, Janet Fitch." So I love that. And then the second one, I love so much too, because this one, she did more of a watercolor to it. So it's really pretty, and I love that it's the same kind of design in the book. But this one says, "To Cassie, may you always hear the chimes. Best wishes, Janet Fitch." So these are my prized possession books, and I absolutely am so excited to have these in my hands. I'm gonna stop gushing about Janet Fitch and to tell you what the book series is about. I did finish the first book. I absolutely adore it. It is set during the Russian Revolution in the early 1900s, and it follows a girl named Marina. She is part of a sort of wealthy family, so she doesn't really know a lot about what's going on in the world around her with the Russian Revolution. She just knows that she's well off. She is also an aspiring writer. She writes a lot of poetry, and she wants to be involved in that kind of world in the art scene. One day she kind of goes out into the world, and she starts seeing that it's not something that she thought it was, with the whole situation going on. Because of her being well off, she doesn't really have to deal with any of the issues that are going on with the Russian Revolution, but she ends up kind of going through a journey and finding her own voice and realizing that what's going on right now is not fair, and it is not something that people that are below her should be dealing with. She kind of goes through a whole adventure. She ends up actually living among the poor. She does a lot of poetry, and she goes through a lot of different issues, and the sequel picks up. There is a big cliffhanger after I read this, and that's why I was so excited after I read it to find out she was writing a sequel, because it is just so good. I actually started reading this in the winter. A lot of it does take place in the winter, I would say, so it was a perfect read for that. But just the way, this is her first historical fiction. I guess technically, if you want to go historical, Paint It Black is set in the 80s rock scene in California, so that would be more of a historical fiction. But I feel like if you want to go like way back in history, this was her first delve into historical fiction, and I adored it. The writing is so beautiful. She is such a great writer. She did all this research to make it so authentic when you read it. When I read this book, I felt like I was living in the world, and I was just cheering her on, trying to find her voice as a woman during this time, and just standing up for what is right. The other two books that I have, you've already seen them in the previous TBRs that I had, and that is Natasha Preston's The Twin, and then VC Andrews' Shadows of Foxworth. This one I've talked about so many times. I already did it in my favorite series video. It is the third book in, I call it the Attic series, because the first two books, which are right here, are Beneath the Attic and Out of the Attic. It is a spin-off series to the Flowers in the Attic series, but this series is written by the ghostwriter. The first two books, so Beneath the Attic and Out of the Attic, follows the original Corinne Foxworth, so the person that the mother in the other books was named after. And it kind of talks about how she gets involved with the Foxworth family and all the dark secrets and all the darkness that is consumed in this house and the things that she experiences. The third book takes place after she has escaped, and it is with her daughter, and her daughter kind of finds out about the Foxworth side, and I'm guessing it's kind of her seeing that those people are not good, and I'm really excited to get into it. I've been wanting to read this one since I found out there was going to be another one coming out. The ghostwriter, I think this is the best work I have read by them so far, because the other two previous series in this whole saga were not good. They were terrible. I hated them. I just was really disappointed. It kind of gave me a bad taste in my mouth, and I was not excited to delve into this series, but I was glad I did pursue on and read them, because the writing is so much better in this. It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of ties that go back to the original novels. So I'm really excited to get to that. And with The Twin, as you all know, I'm a big Natasha Preston fan. I have her other books right here. You can't see them on the camera, but I do have a lot of her other books that I have read. This one follows, I believe, two twin sisters, and one of them is kind of devious and I think trying to kill the other one off and take over her life. Natasha Preston, she does write a lot of darker YA, but it is so fun. I love the twists and turns. I'm a big thriller. I love mysteries. I love horror. Her last book that came out, The Lost, kind of reminded me of 31 and Saw. If you took those two movies and you combined them, that's the kind of world that that book centered on. But I'm so excited to get into this. It's definitely perfect. It'll be like a pre-Halloween read. If I don't get to it, I definitely want to get to it in October because it's gonna be spooky and I like my spooky reads. All right guys, so I have one more book for you on my TBR pile, and this is one that I've seen on BookTube. I wasn't gonna pick this one up, but when I placed my Barnes & Noble order at the beginning of lockdown, they were giving this book away for $5. $5 with any purchase. Like, that is so cool. And for when I received this book, for the thickness of it and just how beautiful it is, it was definitely worth the price to pick it up. As I'm looking on the back here, okay, so the price wasn't too high. It was $11.99, but still $5 brand new book. Like, how can you do that? But this was a book that I've seen on BookTube before. I've seen a lot of my favorite booktubers talk about it. One of them, Haley in Bookland, she adored this book. It was so much fun, she said, for her to read. So I was so excited to pick it up, and it is Lovely War by Julie Berry. If you're not familiar with this book, if you haven't seen it at all, it is a love story told between the gods, the Greek gods, I believe, and it takes place during both World War I and World War II, and they're two different love stories. So I'm so excited to delve into this, especially there has been so many good reviews of it. I do love myself a good love story, as you can see with my romances, but I'm so excited to get into this one. I love that it has the World War I aspect, because I feel like we always talk about World War II, but not a lot of people talk about World War I. I don't know if it's because the First War is not really as present in people's memories, whereas like with World War II, we still have our grandparents that are around, or, you know, like our great-grandparents, if they're still around, that have told us these stories, who have lived through it, who we have a lot more documentation about it. I could be wrong, but I feel like we always talk about World War II more than anything. So I'm kind of excited to see World War I from this perspective. I'm really excited to get into the relationships because everyone that has read this has loved how it's told. Well, there you have it, guys. That is going to be my TBR for September. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down and let me know if you have any really exciting reading plans for this month. What are you reading? Is there any of the books that I mentioned that you want to go and pick up and read with me? Oh, excuse me. Let me know how you guys feel. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys later. Bye!